start from scratch. So team, since all of you have joined this Zoom link, I'm pretty sure that all of you have logged into this portal where you got the Zoom link.
Right.
So under the same location on the same page, there are 3 resources that you require for these 3 days. So one thing is the study guide, which is the exact material that I will be presenting. It's just in a PPT format that I'm running, but the study guide is exactly same. There is no difference at all, word by word, everything is same. So you can download this, keep it as a reference material for your future use. The lab guide also. Now, how our NSC courses or Fortinet courses are structured is that the facilitator presents you with the theory part. After that we have a Q&A, and in parallel we also do the lab. Now, when I say we, that is you, the participants. You do the lab yourself and follow the lab guide. It has all the instructions. Let me open this lab guide and show you basically. And this is the lab access. So one thing is the lab guide, and the other one is lab access, where each one of you participants will have your individual pod, like a VM environment for each one of you. So as you can go ahead and configure. So opening both on parallel tabs. So this is the lab guide. Pardon sir, you're saying something?
Sorry.
Okay. So now not every module has what do you call, a lab associated with it, but most of them will have labs. So now once I complete the module 1, you will see that there is a lab associated with it. Now first module is just theory, so we will just run by, maybe take a short break for 10 minutes and then move ahead with the second module. After the second module, I will request all of you to go and do the lab. So now how the lab access? This is where you click the lab access. Maybe open it on another tab, which I've already done. Here you click to start the lab on the left side corner where you see this beaker icon. When you click it, I would say maybe all of you go ahead and click it so that the lab is ready. So these are the machines. This is the topology that you see. We have a internet gateway. Basically, this might be a firewall. There is a external server, external SRV. So basically, there are servers, there are 40 mail devices which you will be working on. Right. From where you access the device, the lab. Now these IP addresses, etc., everything has been pre-configured for you. What you need to do is just go ahead and follow the steps like in the lab guide. So team, it's a request that please follow the order of the steps, because how the lab is structured, that whatever theory we are doing, you get a hands-on experience on it. So there are lot of configurations required, but in 3 days we do not want you to waste your time in doing some very basic rudimentary configuration. So since the configurations are only done, so in case you miss out on any step which are mandatory, the lab might fail. So these labs are tried and tested. Please only go ahead when with the steps as the order it is written. Then you won't face any issues. Alright. Again, in case you run into some issue, just go back, check your configuration, and in case it is not a recoverable issue that you are facing, that you cannot recover, maybe you changed the complete backup file itself. So then we have an easy way of reverting the whole machine. Like we can reset the whole machine also. Alright. So this is how the lab and modules will go. One module, one lab, one module, one lab. So we will try to cover 5 modules today. today or maybe tomorrow we'll cover the 5 modules because there are total of 13 modules that we have to cover in 3 days. So that's how we'll go. And again, I just explained this since this is the beginning of the class, but again, I'll be here the whole time for if you face any issues or something with the machine, I can always reset it for you. Or in case you want to ask like how to navigate, again, I'll be right here. So team, I will start with the first module. I've already pulled up the first module. So now few things team might sound basic, like a short discussion on the SMTP protocol itself, because as we know, for email we use SMTP for the mail transfers. So many of you might already have the knowledge, but how any typical course is structured, like it starts from basics and then goes to advanced things, so as it is compatible for every kind of participant. Somebody who has advanced knowledge and somebody who's just starting on. I'm having a little bit of cough, seasonal flu, so my apologies in advance in case you find my voice hoarse or a little cough in between. I'm trying to mute myself. Now, SMTP and DNS server, mail flow, email transmission, operating modes. Let's discuss the initial structure, that how mail flows on the internet, because the flow of mail is a little different than other traffic, which is HTTP or SSH, right? Although SMTP also is a TCP based protocol, but it has a different way how it communicates. Like HTTP, when we send a request, it directly goes to the endpoint. Like if I'm sitting here and I'm connecting to a web server, it's a direct TCP connection that forms, right? And the data segments, the TCP segments are forwarded by routers. But here the SMTP protocol has a different flow of the protocol data units, the segments, right? Now, when any user tries to send an email, I'm on purpose taking the example of sending an email, then we'll go to the retrieval portion in detail, because I'm going to use a more complex topology to explain the whole flow. But typically we use something called MUA, a mail user agent, like Thunderbird, Linux, on Linux, or maybe our Outlook email. We initiate the SMTP session to something called a mail transfer agent. Our 40 mail is a MTA, but the difference between a regular MTA and a 40 mail is it's a secure email gateway also. It's not just transferring the email, but it also secures the email. And that's something we will dig in deep each module step by step. So, the SMTP session, when it's formed, the email data is sent to an MTA. Now this MTA, our internal MTA, basically looks up a DNS server to find where the destination is, and how the destination is decided by the domain name. Like when you send an email to fortinet.com, harishahuja@fortinet.com, that fortinet.com DNS name, just like HTTP records, are populated by the authoritative DNS server of the organization, and that's how it is looked at. So even in 40 mail, or I would say the whole mailing infrastructure is dependent on DNS, that where the MTA for this particular domain name is, and then it reaches the destination, and that destination email server basically will hold the inboxes from where users can retrieve the email. For retrieval, they can use the user agent protocols like POP or IPAP. Now, let's go into a little more details. Before that, just to reiterate, MUA is the application application that is run on endpoint clients. For retrieval, they use IWAP or POP, but for sending, they still use SMTP. And these are installed on your computers or phones. Mail transfer agent is the agent that, like 40mail, Postfix, Microsoft Exchange, basically the mails which can send and receive emails across the whole internet, wherever there are other MTA agents. Our mail server is the server which actually holds the email, where your inboxes are. So this could again be a Microsoft Exchange server and our 40mail. Like for example, I'll take another example. On Ironco is a secure email gateway. But 40mail, along with being a secure email gateway, that is the device which protects and scans the email, it also can work as a full-fledged email server. Alright. Now I'll go a little deep in the whole flow. I'll take an example. This concept of preference, I'm going to explain it right here with this topology. Now say for example, a user is trying to go to example3.com. Okay. What will the user do? User will open the Outlook, configure the mail address, what is from, that would be my address to, and then send an email. This basically triggers a SMTP session to its own internal MTA. This is my internal MTA of example.1.org, and it is sending this email which is destined for example3.com. So now this SMTP session is initiated between a laptop of the internal user A, goes to the internal MTA. Now this MTA could be Exchange server, could be a 40mail server. Right now I'm not getting into security. I'm simply speaking about any email MTA. It could be Ironport, it could be Postfix, it could be Exchange server, anything. Now this MTA has to find that, first of all, it decides whether it is an incoming email or outgoing. In emails, incoming and outgoing is not decided based on the traffic leaving and coming in. It is based on what domain it is going to. This is the MTA server for example1.org. So anything where the destination is could be anything, but shouldn't be example1.org. If the destination is not example1.org, it is an outgoing email because it doesn't belong to my domain. My domain is example1.org. So since it is an external email for the external destination, what this MTA does is does a DNS lookup. That who is the authorized MTA on the whole internet who can receive the email for example3.com. So it sends a DNS query. Now my DNS server has a MX record. And how does this DNS server get a record? Same thing we do for HTTP, where we do a lookup to the root servers and then do a recursive lookup to the top level domain, and from that top level domain sends us to the authoritative DNS server for any organization. This topology, what it is missing, maybe I could put another DNS server here, which is basically for example3.com. Basically, finally